Well, we wondered and we found out just how bad a condition Joe Biden is in. I start my mornings with Mark Davis in Dallas. Mark and I had a bit of a disagreement. Mark kind of took the establishment position. I don't know, it's establishment, that's not the right word, but the conventional wisdom is, well, Biden wasn't bad enough to really disqualify him. He met the expectation. Now, that's goofy. He didn't meet any expectation. He was abysmal. He was a disaster. He was a catastrophe. He called Zelensky President Putin. He called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. He said, I listened to my commander-in-chief. It's a disgrace. We're in terrible shape right now. And we ought to really stop playing a board game and acknowledge how appalling it is that they've put us in this condition, that they've put us in this situation. It is appalling. It is disgraceful. It is unforgivable. They've covered up for this guy. The debate ripped the Band-Aid off. We all saw what he is really like, and we saw last night what he is. He was worse last night than he was in the debate. Mark was shocked when I said that this morning. Oh, he had some slack-jawed facial expressions. Calling Kamala Harris Vice President Trump ain't a slack-jaw facial expression. Calling Volodymyr Zelensky Vladimir Putin ain't a goofy expression on his face that makes him look like he's tired. This confirms he's senile. He knew what the stakes were yesterday. I mean, you know, the most you could say about him at the debate was, well, he trailed off and he said anyway a lot. Oh, he said anyway a lot at the debate? Thanks to Fox News Channel, a little montage of how many times he said anyway just last night.
Right now, our team put together a list of, I think it was maybe 11 times Joe Biden completely lost his train of thought and just said, anyway.
Look, folks, this is, well, anyway, in the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling into 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway, it wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
I always love it when he lies, just a bald-faced lie, like I traveled to 15 time zones. How long was, did anybody remember, Tracy, how long was he holed up at Camp David, resting and rehearsing for the debate? It was either 7 or 10 days. You give me 7 days. Trust me, I'll be rested. You give me 7 or 10 days. I think it was 10, but it might have been 7. Obviously, the man isn't what he used to be. Here's a clip courtesy of Salem News Channel, which aired the speech the press conference last night, on reports that he needs to go to bed earlier. No. He said that's not really true.
Presidency is the most straining job in the world, and it's 24/7. How can you say you'll be up for that next year, in 2 years, in 4 years, given the limits you've acknowledged that you have today?
The limits I've acknowledged I have?
There's been reporting that you've acknowledged that you need to go to bed earlier and your evening around 8.
That's not true. Look, what I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more. And I said, for example, the 8, 7, 6 stuff, instead of starting a fundraiser at 9 o'clock, start at 8 o'clock. People get to go home by 10 o'clock. That's what I'm talking about.
That's comedy gold right there. Can you imagine Trump standing up at a podium and saying, I need to pace myself a little better? The media would roast him. They would crucify him. Oh, he's declined. He can't keep up. Biden's willing to admit, I need to pace myself. Why? The job's a little too much for you, Joe? I can't bury the lead, of course. I got to share with you a couple of the big blunders, the major gaffes that I will remind you did not occur at the Trump-Biden debate. he didn't make these kinds of mistakes. How about this doozy earlier in the day?
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it.
Sure you are. Now, this is the funniest clip of the day. When he called his vice president, Kamala Harris, Vice President Trump, there was a camera trained on Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, and the whole row of advisors, top advisors. The look, if you're watching right now on Salem News Channel, you're going to love this. You got to see this. This is classic because they all cringe. One of them puts his hand over his face. They can't believe they just heard the boss call Kamala Harris Vice President Trump.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is...
Lloyd Austin looks like he's going to throw up. They're looking like, oh my Lord. He just called, and if you play it again, Christian, he doesn't even notice he said it. Now, hopefully, any of us who have to communicate for a living will catch a mistake. If I said to you, if I was referring to Donald Trump and I accidentally said, Adolf Hitler, I'd catch myself. You know, I was watching the Hitler rally I meant Trump. I mean, I'd catch myself, right? At least I would have the wherewithal to notice I called Trump Hitler, like the left always does. Biden, as you'll hear again, never catches his own mistake.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is...
Now, look, the bottom line is, if he decides he's out, if they can convince him he can't beat Trump, he will step down. And it'll be probably Kamala Harris. But he has to make that decision. Nobody else can do it. It isn't going to be Barack Obama. It isn't going to be Hillary. George Clooney isn't going to force Joe Biden out. And if he's stubborn and obstinate and cranky and grumpy and, yes, senile, he may not go anywhere. He may dig those heels in, and we'll see Trump beat Biden in a landslide on November the 5th. I mean, I was hearing somebody recount how Woodrow Wilson had a stroke and was in the bedroom of the White House, and his wife pretended he was okay and was doing all the allegedly running the country from behind the closed doors of President Woodrow Wilson's bedroom. I mean, we're in that kind of territory right now. That's why I was a little exasperated when I heard people say, "Well, you know, he met his expectations last night." Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Mixing up Kamala Harris with Donald Trump, mixing up Zelensky with Putin, saying he listens to some other commander-in-chief? What in the world are you talking about? What did you think was you think he was going to collapse in a heap on the floor? Philip Klein over at National Review wrote, "The best hope for Democrats last night was that Biden's performance offered a definitive enough answer on his mental fitness to bring the brewing civil war within the party to a conclusion, one way or the other. A miraculous great night that would stave off the rebellion among Democrats was one way to accomplish this. Or on the other end of the spectrum, a complete face plant by Biden that produced the groundswell needed to force him out. Instead," writes Philip Klein at National Review, "Biden delivered a performance that offered something to both his critics and his defenders. On the negative side, he was raspy, took pauses, referred to Kamala Harris as Trump, blah, 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 blah. At the same time, he did field questions for an hour, in some cases giving long and detailed responses. That's the bar? That he can stand at a podium for an hour? And if so, He exceeded expectations? He writes, that's something that his defenders can cite as evidence that he is still sharp enough to remain as the nominee. That he can stand in one place for an hour? Okay, good. You go with that. You go with that. Pretend that he met the expectations last night. The people that are saying that on our side, that's just wishful thinking. Of course, they're delusional, but the reason they're delusional is we're praying that he doesn't go anywhere. I want so badly to be wrong. My friend Mark Davis said, well, Mike's got his talk show bona fides staked on Biden not stepping aside. On Biden being replaced. This has nothing to do with my bona fides as a talk show host. I'm not trying to prove a point here. I want to be wrong. I pray I'm wrong. But the Democrats surely know they can't win with him. And if they can convince him of the same reality, then he's gone. He's out. There's no way he's going to be the nominee. Can you imagine the next debate when Trump brings up being confused between Kamala Harris and Trump, or is going to taunt Biden for calling Zelensky President Putin? It's over for him. And last night was a disaster. It was a catastrophic failure, and the world knows it. If the criteria is he didn't collapse and get taken away on a stretcher, therefore he met expectations, you might want to check yourself, because that's laughable. I've said it all day, and when I said it to Mark this morning, he was shocked, but it's true. He was worse last night than he was in the debate. And Mark said, well, his mouth was open a lot, and he was gazing. Gazing? You think gazing is a worse performance than calling his own vice president Donald Trump? You think telling the world you pay attention to some other president is less egregious than staring off into space? Again, I don't come in here to pee on your leg and tell you it's raining. I'm not going to play games with you and pretend something is a reality that isn't a reality. It was a disaster, and we are in bad shape as a country. We got to get through 4 months. We got to get through the rest of July, August, September, October. And God willing, on November the 5th, we're going to right this wrong. We're going to correct this ship, and we're going to get this country back again. Incidentally, somebody sent me, I was really impressed by this, these talking about all of us, we all have a role to play. Alex Pfeiffer, who is with the MAGA movement in America, great Trump loyalist, sent me some stickers that I can slap on every receipt that I get when I eat out that says, vote for Trump, no taxes on tips. You know, that's an organic movement. People are still doing that. Remember when people were putting the Let's Go Brandon stickers on gas pumps all over America? Well, this is not vandalizing. This is actually putting a sticker. I want to get my hands on a lot of these stickers because hardworking men and women who wait tables for a living sure do appreciate the reminder that Trump wants to get rid of taxes on tips. Look, tips are arbitrary. Hardworking people in the service industry have to rely on tips, and then when they get taxed on tips, they're left with not much. And Trump has promised no taxes on tips for waiters and waitresses. And when waiters and waitresses find that out, they love it. And they're going to, okay, so these little stickers that Alex Pfeiffer sent me say just that. And I want to see if I can get my hands on them. I'm going to start putting them when I eat out. And I do eat out a lot, I admit.
Mike Gallagher.
All right, it was the press conference watched around the world. We carried it on Salem News Channel last night. We'll continue with a couple of other clips, some real doozies. But first things first here, let's get your analysis. 800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Let's get as many calls and voices in here as we can. Carl in Indianapolis, Indiana. How you doing, Carl?
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
I'm good. How you?
Yeah, this is Carl the Truth from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yes, sir.
I voted for Trump in 2016. I was on the stump for Trump, tried to get in when he came here to announce his VP, which was Mike Pence from Indianapolis, and couldn't get in. I had a loudspeaker with me. They probably thought I was from some black movement.
You had like a bullhorn?
Oh, yes, sir.
What were you saying in the bullhorn?
I bought the bullhorn 25 years ago.
Now, what'd you say in the bullhorn? What were you saying in the bullhorn, Carl?
Hey, well, I'll give you a little scenario.
Well, if you have
like
a bullhorn,
this,
I'm just curious. If you got to bring, if you bring a bullhorn to an event,
you know what?
What do you say? What do you? What did you?
Stump for Trump.
What were you yelling?
I wanted to go down there and really.
There we go. Abigail in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Hey, Abigail, how are you?
Hey, Mike, I am blessed and highly favored. Thank you for asking.
I love it. I love it. Me too. Glad you could join us.
So, what is the one thing the left has access to that they think can fix anything that Biden loves more than ice cream?
Tell me.
Rhymes with funny.
What's that?
Money.
Money. Oh,
They're
sure.
gonna buy him out.
They'll buy him out.
What's his price?
Yep. Well, they could. I mean, they have to convince him no matter what. They're going to have to talk him into stepping down. If they can't convince him, they're stuck with him. What else can they do?
They can buy. He's everything's for sale.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Everybody's got a price. All right, thanks. Ken in Minnesota. One open line, 800-655-Mike. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Mike.
Hey.
I just wanted to say real quick because I'm on the job here and the CV's going to go off.
Yes, sir.
It exactly met my expectations. My wife and I expected him to be horrible, and he did not disappoint. That was like just a horrible representation of the United States.
That's an embarrassment.
I mean,
It's
whispering, everything.
Total
Yeah,
embarrassment.
It's
shameful. It's shameful that we're stuck
Sorry
here.
about that.
And again, don't worry. You'll go back to work. Thank you, Ken. And don't worry. That's why he's finished. On November 5th, Trump's going to beat him easily. I think Trump will beat any Democrat on the ticket. He'll beat Kamala Harris easily. He'll beat anybody that challenges him, but it'll be the easiest task to beat Joe Biden. Newt Gingrich had some analysis last night on Fox News Channel. I always pay attention to Newt, one of the smartest guys I've ever spent time with. And he points out that there's no mechanism to remove Biden from the actual ticket because he's already got the delegates.
If Biden doesn't want to leave, I don't see any mechanism to make him leave. He got over 14 million votes. Nobody else got any significant number. All these people out there now. So we're supposed to be told that 14 million Democrats around the country don't matter because the senator from Vermont would like Biden to step down. Well, talk about not being part of democracy. You know, the Democrats have spent 3 years talking about how much they love democracy, except when it's inconvenient. If Biden, put yourself in Biden's shoes. He's very angry. He feels he's been betrayed by Obama. He feels that the elites, and he says this, that all the elites who he thought were his friends have turned on him. But he's in the White House. He's got 14 million votes. He has virtually every delegate. So they have to create an uprising which leads over half the delegates to break their word and decide they're going to dump Biden. And here's the question. For who? You're going to dump Biden for Kamala Harris? I did a column last week describing collapsing with Kamala. I mean, Kamala is much weaker than Joe Biden.
I agree. However, Kamala Harris removes the senility objection. Kamala Harris removes the cognitive decline objection. She checks the box. Younger, check. Progressives love what Kamala represents. Now, I don't think they like her very much. Incidentally, my producer has a great theory about why Joe might not step down, and why he's digging his feet in. I don't think it's a secret to Joe Biden that Barack Obama doesn't like him. I don't think that's any kind of a mystery. And for Obama to pass the torch to Hillary, this is Joe Biden's revenge. Biden is not going to be told what to do by Barack Obama. I'm increasingly convinced of that. Again, this is real simple. Real simple. If he doesn't change his mind, the Democrats are stuck with Joe Biden. Arthur in San Antonio, Texas. Hi, Arthur.
Hi, Mike. Hey,
Hi.
I'm right there with you on that point, except I don't think it's Joe that's not going to be told. I think it's Jill that's not going to be told.
Yeah.
I think she doesn't like Kamala. She doesn't like the Obamas. She's not going to be told what to do by them. She leads Joe around everywhere, and she needs a pardon for Hunter. So she's the one to blame for him not
Look,
stepping down.
hey, whatever it takes, my friend, whatever. I don't care if it's Jill. I don't care if it's the Easter Bunny that keeps him from stepping down. We need him on the ticket. We want him on the ticket. We got to pray that he doesn't change his mind. If he changes his mind, well, then the mountain is going to be a little higher for Trump to overcome. He'll still overcome it, I believe, but I really, really like our chances against Joe Biden.